Going in the morning in drive time. I hope everybody is having an amazing morning, or if you're listening on the other side of the country, I really hope you're having a good early afternoon. I would like to say before we get started, Blaine shaved his mustache, and I for one, could not be more disappointed.
Oh.
You're a liar. You're a fraud.
I'm a liar.
You're a charlatan.
You said think no one would notice this early?
Yeah. You said you wouldn't shave it until you lost a month in betting, and I hope that you get absolutely... What's your Twitter handle? @CraneBlaine? Is that it? Everybody go on Twitter and roast this man alive.
Yeah,
he is not a man of the people. He is not a man of his word.
Roast
and
me
he's proven it, Dave.
Roast me @CraneBlaine on Twitter.
No. What is it?
No.
But I'll
roast
look at
me
it now.
@CraneBlaine on Twitter.
I have a feeling that Blaine's mustache Twitter account is gonna
live forever.
He's
it's gonna live forever. No, I'm gonna make sure I get this right.
The thing about it is this. I said to the end of the month, all right, it's my birthday week. All right,
no excuses.
I feel like I can make the decision on my face.
You can.
And my birthday week if I want to shave my mustache.
No.
And I did. It's not gone forever, Aaron Hernandez. It will be back during football season.
Oh.
Okay? It will be back during football season. Who knows? The beard might come back, but it is my birthday week. I wanted a clean, shaven face. And look, a mustache, I had it for a long time, guys.
You did.
A long time. Usually a mustache is 2 weeks tops. Let's be honest about it. I had it almost for a little more than a month. So, I feel like I did well.
Rule 17, no excuses, play like a champion. It's @Blaine_Crane.
Oh, there it is.
Go
there it is.
blame this man.
I'm glad you figured it out.
Yeah. College football begins this week. Tim Brando is going to join to preview the season. And Dana White says Tom Brady was almost a Las Vegas Raider. I'm Jake Crane. Welcome to Crane & Company. I don't know which polls are more useless nowadays. Preseason football polls or political polls, but we have to start somewhere. As college football is approaching this Saturday, I thought I'd go ahead and drop my top 5 teams heading into 2022. Bama is obviously number 1 for me, but for a couple reasons. While you did lose talent, you also return a lot, including Heisman winner Bryce Young and the best player in college football in Will Anderson. Both coordinators are back, and after the letdown in the Natty last season, 2022 Bama is going to be out for blood. Ohio State comes in at number 2 after a disappointing finish to last year. Should give them more motivation than a Kelly Rowland and Lil Wayne collaboration. They return future Heisman winner C.J. Stroud at quarterback, a ton of pieces on offense, and a defense that should be improved. Coach Ryan Day wasn't even happy about the Rose Bowl win over Utah, and this offseason has been pretty smooth. Oh, and the wide receiver room is deeper than the Pacific Ocean. Defending national champion Georgia lands at number 3 on my list, and even though they lost a ton on defense, Kirby's turned Athens into a machine even the Spartans would be intimidated by. This year, the Georgia offense will be more open with Todd Monken having full faith and a full offseason with Stetson Bennett, hopefully a healthy wide receiver room, and a group of tight ends that could be mistaken for a Pro Bowl roster. Expect this Georgia team to have a little bit of a different flavor, but still be able to win the whole thing if the breaks fall their way. Now, my biggest surprise is Oklahoma at number 4. New coach, new quarterback, but no problem. Dylan Gabriel's a proven commodity as a signal caller, and him being reunited with Jeff Levy while running a fast-paced offense could be pretty lethal. Add in Marvin Mims and Theo Weiss at wide receiver, former Tennessee standout running back Eric Gray, and an offensive line that should be improved after getting a couple key newcomers, so I'm not worried about the offense being on point. I also don't worry about a defense being coached by Brent Venables and expect to see more disciplined play against teams that can actually run the ball, shout out Baylor. The offense will go fast and the points will be aplenty. Plus, the book isn't out on Brent yet, so they're my biggest 2022 surprise. Clemson rounds out my top 5 as I expect the offense can't be nearly as abysmal as they were in 2021, and the defense could be the best in the country. Sam Hartman being out at Wake Forest makes the schedule easier to navigate, and being in the ACC helps out more than hidden cookies at Fat Camp. Now, we get college football back this week, and like you, I could not be more excited. Let us know your top 5 down below, and let's get this party started. I'm going to bring in David Cohn, my mustacheless brother, Blaine Crane. Guys, new morning show in drive time. Super excited. If you're out there, I hope you're having a great morning, like I said. I'm ready to get this thing going, baby.
Let's get it started. I like that top 5.
You like it?
Not my top 5, but I like it.
I know. They're going to release their 2 top 5s. Blaine's good to see you this morning as well.
You too, guys.
Yeah, curating the chat. Getting it, what do you say? Keep it what?
Yeah, keep it steady.
Keep it steady.
How's the chat looking over there?
Chat's looking good.
Good?
Thinking of a poll right now. What poll I want to start it.
We'll
I don't
find
want to
it.
rush.
Yeah, you'll
We'll
find it.
find it.
I don't want to rush.
We'll find
this.
it.
I think organically it'll show
We'll
up.
find it.
That's exactly a very vegan look at the poll. I
Yes,
like where you're
I like
at
that.
right
I like
now.
that.
So, of course, my top 5, like I said, Bama 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Oklahoma 4, Clemson 5. And when you're making a top 5, Dave, I know you guys are about to drop yours. And in the comments, how crazy do you think I am? Please, in the chat, let me know. But I look at this. I think all 5 of these teams have a legitimate shot to make the playoff. There's a couple others that you could throw in there on the periphery. Some people are higher on NC State, stuff like that. Utah is another team that's scary. I know it's somewhat chalky, but Oklahoma at 4, I feel like, isn't the hottest pick around, if that makes sense.
You're big on Oklahoma this year.
I'm
you have
big
one
on
in the
them.
conference, right?
Look at
And
this
you have
kid,
Clemson now winning the ACC.
I got
right?
Clemson with Sam Hartman out. That was the loss I had in the ACC for him, was at Wake. Hopefully Sam's able to come back before that. Tough deal he's going through. But you look at Oklahoma, being in the Big 12, I don't think Baylor and Oklahoma State's going to sneak up on anybody. But with their schedule, their big games are at home. New coach. I'm just telling you, dude. Like I said, the Spidey senses are off the charts. I feel like Peter Parker right now.
Okay. Look, I think Brent Venables is a great hire. They get Dylan Gabriel in. It's going to be phenomenal. I have them more about 7 right now. Maybe that's slightly disrespectful. But bring up my top 5. Let's just start at the top here. I'm already getting I'm already getting a lot of heat for this.
Yeah, as you should.
know? Can I say my piece though?
Yes,
Can I say my piece? Who won the national championship in 2020?
Georgia did.
Georgia Bulldogs.
No, Alabama. No, I'm talking about 2020. Alabama, right? And then when we came into last offseason, right, and we were making our top 5 list, everybody thought Georgia was the greatest team they'd ever seen preseason. Number 1, I said, look, Alabama's still the defending national champion. So I had them number 1. And I said, you want that crown, you got to go and take it. Well, who won it in 2021? Georgia won the national title. We have not seen a college football game since they won the national championship. Out of respect, I have to put the Bulldogs there at number 1. Then Alabama number 2. It's not too hard when you have the best offensive player and the best defensive player returning, and I still feel like Alabama should be the favorite to win the national title. Boys, I'm telling you, I was really close to putting Michigan at 3, and I'm going to get into it with Tim Brando. I'm going to get into it with him because I want to ask a couple questions, but after I dissected it a little bit more, I put the Buckeyes 3. Obviously, they're going to be formidable this year. Michigan 4, I don't understand. I mean, I feel like this isn't even that much of a homer pick when you look at what they return on offense. I mean, they did lose 3 key players on defense, but I think they improve a lot at the coordinators, too. Jim Harbaugh looks like he's going to stay in Ann Arbor for a little bit, and they're going to be able to put up a lot of points, return 2 good quarterbacks, not just 1. And then I have Utah at 5, rounding out the top 5. Similar to what you were saying with Oklahoma and ACC, except I think Utah's path might even be easier coming out of the Pac-12.
Well, I got them going 9-0. I think first team to go undefeated in Pac-12 play. But I want to give you some props here.
On which part?
The Ohio part. Because some people look at that graphic and be like, oh, it's a typo. No, it's not. David played at Michigan. No. He will not say Ohio State. He won't even write it.
Well, shout out to Justine.
Well, shout out to Justine, too. But, I mean, again, I have tried to trick you. I have tried to manipulate you in saying it. I've used all the Dr. Seuss wordplay and mental gymnastics that I possibly could, and you just won't do it.
Well, it's done out of respect, not disrespect.
Well, I'm not saying it's
that's
either way. It's
how much
impressive.
We want to beat them.
I'm just shocked.
I feel bad for the Ohio Bobcats. I guess they don't exist.
Is there a difference?
I think isn't there?
Shout out Frank Solich.
See you November 26th.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, pull up my top 5. Pull up mine.
I'm interested to see this.
Not a huge difference. All right, number 1, you got Alabama. You know why? Because I'm a grown up. All right, and they're the best team in the nation. 2, to tell you the truth, probably the hardest pick for me, the team I'm most worried about is Ohio State.
Most worried?
The Ohio State, and I'll tell you why. They always have good quarterbacks, good receivers. Their running backs phenomenal, but what are they like in the box? What are they like in the box? Where does Ohio State get in trouble with when they get beat in the box? And physicality. We talked about this the other day. Can they handle in the box? And C.J. Stroud, top 3 quarterback in today's college football. But I want to see more with him, versatility-wise, on the ground, running the ball a little bit. You always look at Ohio State quarterbacks. You usually have a guy who can throw it and get outside the pocket and make something happen. So that's my only worry with C.J. Stroud, realistically. Then just the defense in the box. When you face a team like Georgia, Bama, Clemson, hell, even Utah this year, what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to establish the box, the physicality, the tempo, the pace of the game early. So if there's any team I'm most worried about in this top 5, it is Ohio State.
Oregon hurt him on the ground last year early.
Yeah,
too.
They hurt him on the ground. And if you can do that, if you can establish a line of scrimmage, I don't care who you are and who you play, you have a chance to win that game. Then number 3 at Georgia. I know Georgia lost a lot on defense. The defense was phenomenal, probably the best we've seen in a while. But I still think what Kirby has built there, he has built an absolute just just a rolling in of guys who play on the D-line and linebackers who are extremely scary. The one position group I am worried about on defense from last year is linebacker. Their linebacker play was
Nolan Smith is a dog.
Above and beyond. But what you lost there, you can't replace. Then Clemson. I mean, obviously, DJ, I refuse to say your last name. I'm not going into that too early on a Monday. But the offense will be good. I think it will be better. They were anemic last year. But the defense right now looks like the best defense in the nation, especially up front. They're scary, and they're deep. All right, so you got to watch for that. And you lose Sam Hartman at Wake Forest, who you're really worried about in the ACC. I'll be asking Tim Brando about that later. Is it NC State? Is it Miami? I know you got NC State winning the ACC, correct?
Yeah.
You're just hot takes.
Talk about
you are. You're hot takes, David. And then Utah. You bring back Cameron Rising, Kyle Winningham. He has an identity, and it's not usually a Pac-12 identity team. Yeah. Usually Pac-12 is like, hey, we're going to throw it around. We're not going to play defense. Then if we make it in the playoff, we're going to get beat by someone who's physical in the box. But Utah is physical on both sides of the ball. I know they lost one of their best linebackers, but still, Kyle Winningham, the identity of this team, they can carry. Because I always say this, if you can run the ball and stop the run, you have chance to win any game.
That's exactly right. And you know, it's funny when you think about conferences and identities, right? Like, you know, you think about the Big 12, a lot of people still think offensive conference, want to throw it around Pac-12 offensive conference. Look who's winning those conferences. Last year, Baylor and Oklahoma State were the two most physical teams in that conference, and they just beat you up. They beat you up front. It wasn't some pretty, beautiful, we're going to spread out the splits and run a bunch of trick plays and get into space. It was, I'm going to run downhill at you and hit you in the teeth. Utah won the Pac-12 last year. Why? Because they were the most physical team in the Pac-12. I don't care what conference you play in, what style you run offensively or defensively. If you are the most physical team over the long term, you are going to have a great chance to win the conference, and that will not change. So it's funny watching teams kind of change their identities too. Oregon getting Mario Cristobal, changed their identity. Who do they hire after Mario Cristobal? Dan Lanning. They want that physical identity. Baylor, we know them as what? Art Briles, spread it out. Let's get wild, innovative on offense. Dave Aranda goes in there. He's one-punch man. We're just going to fight you up front. We're going to be able to run the ball, good play-action game, and on defense, we won't make mistakes, and we'll be able to tackle. Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy. When you used to think of Mike Gundy, the mullet, offense, Mason Rudolph, guys like that, Whedon, all those guys, Oklahoma State, putting up big points, playing Texas Tech and scoring a combined 120 points, whatever it is. Now, you got Spencer Sanders, physical quarterback. You got your physical up front. You run the ball. Defense is solid. It's just amazing to see how cyclical college football is, but it's always going to come down to the physical.
Yeah, well, I love to see the physicality in college football leading to success because in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about the lack of it in the NFL.
Yeah.
But let's go to the Big 12 1 second because you were talking about Baylor and Oklahoma State both being very physical last season and played in the conference championship. Now Oklahoma adds one of the greatest defensive coordinators that we've seen around the country, really waited his turn to be a head coach, and Brent Venables. Now he's going to take over. I can't imagine what sort of defensive mindset that program's going to have moving forward. My question is, what does this mean for Texas? They went the offensive route with Steve Sarkisian. I know he knows what needs to be done on defense. Are they going to be able to get to a point where they can be physical enough to win that conference?
Yeah, it's you got to bring in the players and have the culture. You know, they trim the fat a lot. Remember last year with Bo Davis ripping the guys on the bus? This isn't how we do it.
I do remember.
You have to do it a certain way, and he knows. He's obviously seen it. Was at Bama. Steve knows he was at Bama. He has the blueprint. But when I look at Texas this year, I worry about the physicality on the offensive line. And Texas fans will tell you that. And then you look defensively, while there is a change and while there is a shift and you're trying to get the personnel and stuff like that, I don't think Texas is smash mouth enough as a team, is physical enough as a team to be able to get past the games where the offense isn't clicking. And we all know there's 2-3 games a year, regardless of who it is, whether it's 2019 LSU going to Auburn and having to survive on defense, 2020 Alabama, there was a few games where the offense wasn't clicking 100 miles per hour like it normally was. Defense and special teams has to win it. Can Texas be good enough on defense when the offense isn't clicking, or good enough on special teams when you're not blowing the balls out of the scoreboard to be able to win those couple games you have to get over the hump? I say no right now, and we're getting into Texas a little bit more later. Blaine, what's the Booster Club saying?
All right, Mike, hashtag Ask Crane and Company, who is likely to go out of your top 5 and who would jump into your top 5?
You know, it's funny. I kick this back and forth. I still think Clemson is such an unknown on offense. I just cannot convince myself that they will be as bad as they were last year. You look at the injuries they had on the perimeter, somewhat similar to Georgia. You play Georgia week 1 last year, you get beat up, you lose a tight game, and it kind of snowballs from there. Tony Elliott really kind of had to switch up his flow because the timing looked off for DJU at quarterback. I don't expect it to be that bad. Do I think DJU is going to burst on the scene and be this, the guy everybody thought he was going to be coming out of high school this year? No. Cade Klubnik's waiting in the wings. Everybody's excited about that guy. We all know the backup quarterback's the most popular guy on campus. But I think Clemson, if they are somewhat close to what they were offensively, and they do have a rash of injuries like they did on the defensive side last year, you could see them move, and Utah, for me, would be a team. Again, I do have Florida beating them still. I may flip on that.
And that would do it, right?
On that.
That would do it.
That would do it. But if Utah gets past that game, I think they're a team that can not only slip in that up in that top 5, but slip into the playoff if they run it how they're supposed to run it. Because look, Kyle Whittingham, that is a complete team and an organization that is at full strength.
Right, and you had Utah as well. In the top 5, right? So that has to be the answer for at least for me, just because they open with Florida. Right? On the road, you can go lose that game, and automatically they would be out of the top 5. But like Jake said, you win that game, their schedule is favorable that, they could potentially run that conference. But I also will say, while I love Michigan, they can mess around and lose now at any point.
Got to beat Michigan State.
They can mess around and lose at any point. I'm looking right here, October 29th, you play Michigan State. It hasn't gone well lately, okay? But let me just rattle off the schedule until that. Colorado State, Hawaii, Connecticut, Maryland, Iowa, Indiana, and Penn State. They could go into that game 7-0.
Where's the Penn State game?
The Penn State game is at home.
Oh, wow. They'll probably be undefeated going
now, they go to Iowa, but again, you can beat Iowa.
Well, yeah, you're basically Iowa's Spider-Man GIF, same team. You're just better at what they do. They both want to run the ball.
Michigan and Iowa?
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. I mean,
identity-wise?
Identity-wise. Michigan wasn't coming out there and just lighting it up, passing. If it was a team for me, I know this might sound crazy, but a team that wouldn't be surprising me to slip out would be Ohio State. A team that wouldn't be surprising to slip in, to me, would be Michigan. And you look, and I know Henderson's a great back for Ohio State, but it still goes, to me, it's physicality in the box. All right, you get a new D coordinator, I believe, at Ohio State. There's a lot of questions on defense. Can you stop the run? Because when Ohio State gets beat between the ends, they don't look as good as a team. They really don't. And you can stop the run. Michigan did a lot of what last year? Stopping the run and running the ball. Stopping the run and running the ball. And you have a chance, even with an above-average quarterback, which they had, I would say that, I mean, you have a chance to go to the playoffs. Obviously, when you play Georgia, that's not going to work, right? You saw that. I mean, you're not winning up front. They got just absolutely vanilla on offense and didn't decide to do anything else. But to me, Ohio State would drop and Michigan I'd put in.
One more and this gets wrapped.
Cody Nason, 95, the king of graphics. Hashtag Ask Crane Company. Is Clemson's D-line the best we've seen in the last decade?
I've got to see him. The one we saw last year at Georgia, it's going to be tough to top that. I mean, those guys were straight out of Mordor. We were one step away from having some short guy with curly hair try and throw a ring in a volcano. But again, Dabo has built Clemson into an SEC team up front. Why is Clemson able to not only get there, but when they get there, be able to win the whole thing? They have the horses up front. And we say this all the time. It's not just about the first 5 on your offensive line or the first 4 on the defensive line. It's the depth. We know it's a battle of attrition. That's what football is. Guys are going to get hurt. Something's going to happen. You've got to have another guy or group of guys that can come in there and get the job done at the highest level. Depth wins you championships. There's a lot of teams that their first 22 are great. But guess what? That first 22 doesn't last the first 3 weeks. Something's going down somewhere, and it's going to be important. That's the nature of the game, but that's why I think it's so special what Dabo has done. I know people say they're in the ACC. It's not as good of a conference as the SEC. You don't have to be, Stephen Hawking to be able to put the math together on that one, but when they've gotten there, they've had the dude at quarterback that can do it and the guys up front that can do it. And when you have that, that's a combination that can win you a championship and bridge the gap. So I'm not going to say that yet because I want to see them when the lights come on. But if they are, then Clemson has a very, very good chance to go undefeated, like we said, with Hartman being out at Wake, because I don't see anybody outside of, maybe Miami if they get a run at them with Van Dyke and some of the guys they got out there. But Clemson, to me, is very, very scary.
Love it.
All right, want to go back to the Booster Club?
Let's go rapid fire here.
All right,
let's get into
here we go. All right. I had to add this one in last minute here just because everyone's talking about this block here on Thibodeau with the Giants. I think we got this clip put in. Emmanuel Acho and a lot of guys are coming out and saying that this is cowardly, this is a cheap shot, a cheap block. I'm just tired of hearing it. I mean, these NFL players these days, they want to be rich and famous. They don't want to practice. They don't want to hit. I mean, this is a standard block.
Well, my thing is there are a lot of cheap plays that happen. There are a lot of cheap plays that happen in the NFL. There's a lot of cheap plays that happen in college football. There's a lot of cheap plays that happen in high school football. This clip we are about to run is not a cheap play. It's basically a sift block. Let's go ahead and bring the clip up. You guys have watched a ton of football. We've all watched football. So you're getting a down block here from the Bengals. Thibodeau's doing exactly what he should. He's squeezing, and you're getting a kick-out block coming toward him. Let's go ahead and run the clip.
Another look at it, Carl. Yeah, you got to get, they prevent the...
That's not a chop block. It's not a cut block. He's literally going to the inside board of the inside leg because you're trying to run it underneath. Looks like split zone. It looks like split zone to me. This is a clean block. He's not going for the knee. He's going for the thigh board. I know this. Emmanuel Acho knows this. I guess people are trying to invent a headline early on Monday morning. That's football. You take that block on, you handle it. That block's been being made for hundreds of years. It's not dirty. And that's not a dirty play. It's just not. I'm a defensive guy. And offensive players and offensive linemen, there's a lot of dirty stuff that goes on during the play and underneath the pile. But that's not one of them. What do you want him to do? You want him to launch at him? You want him to go helmet to helmet? Get a 15-yard penalty? It's football. If he'd have gone and dove and Superman dove at his
ankle.
At his ankle, something like that, which we've seen before, then you know what? I'll be the first one to stand on here and say that's wrong. That's not a dirty play. And Emmanuel Acho continues to say stupid things. Was a great player. Some stuff he says makes sense and I agree with. But he reaches more than Craig Elo trying to guard Michael Jordan. And it's just amazing some of these guys continue to be able to say wild stuff. And people that don't know football will buy it.
Yep.
They'll buy it, hook, line, and sinker. They'll agree because they don't know. But if you know football, if you've watched it, if you've been in it, that's not a cheap block. That's a cheap take.
The very first thing you're taught in football is get lower than the other guy. Get lower than your opponent, and that's exactly what's going on here. And these guys who are playing in the NFL, they need to get on with playing national and professional football in exchange for the millions of dollars they make, or resign and let someone else take.
Well, let me ask you this though: Are you? I haven't heard Thibodeau come out and say anything.
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard him say anything, so I'm not getting mad at the player. I'm getting mad at Emmanuel Acho, who's no longer playing.
But it's not just him. It's a bunch of people.
Oh, for sure.
This is a cheap,
How are you
cowardly
sitting there?
shot.
First of all, you call a man cowardly? Cowardly? You have the audacity to sit up there and call a man. First of all, that's Thibodeau's fault. If you go back and watch that play, that is Thibodeau's fault. If you hesitate, all right, first of all, low man wins in football all the time. And if you hesitate at a point of contact like he did, completely screwed the guy trying to block him. Screwed the guy. You could tell he was ready for the point of contact, the point of attack, and right when Thibodeau stopped, turned his body, which is not a football move. You're standing still. You're going to get hurt. Oh, boy, almost falls down, and at that point, there's no stopping it. There's no stopping it. So if you really look at this and break this down, fundamentally, if you look at it, this is on Thibodeau. It's really not. I don't even think this guy was trying to cut him. I really don't think it was. I think this guy was trying to find the inside
working
shoulder.
to the
boom, he turns, the dude stops and slips, and you're done at that point.
He makes contact. His helmet literally makes contact with almost Thibodeau's right butt cheek.
What a terrible take.
Let me read this tweet here from former NFL tight end Jake Butt. This is a standard everyday cut block by the tight end. As soon as you see the down tackle or tight end shift up, you expect a cut. It's run multiple times a game by every team. Nothing cowardly about it. Glad Thibodeau is okay, but this is part of the game.
It's part of the game. It's split zone. It's one of the most base bread and butter plays. And to me, that's a sift block. I mean, he's literally sifting and working to the thigh board. Inside out is what you're taught. I'm with you, Blaine. You can't play high. You can't hesitate. That's just part of the game. It's nuts.
All right, let's move on here while we're on this topic, because we did see Patrick Mahomes take multiple drives this past weekend of preseason game. I mean, this goes to the same point here. Like, you can keep Thibodeau out of the preseason if you want. If you think he's already ready to go. Someone like Patrick Mahomes, do you think he should be playing in the preseason?
No. There's guys that should be playing. You got a quarterback battle, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, play them. Young guys, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, guys that aren't proven, play them. Davis Mills, guys in Houston, I get it, play them. Patrick Mahomes is not going to forget. He's not Drew Barrymore from 51st Dates. He's not out there trying to find a pineapple for his birthday. This dude is a witch on the field. He doesn't need to play. I don't think he needs one drive. You're still practicing. You have simulated scrimmages. Blaine, you made this point the other day. I don't understand. Not only he was out there multiple drives. Yeah. And was I a little salty because I had the under? Yes. Did it still hit?
Yeah.
You're damn right. But I don't get why Patrick Mahomes is playing early in the season. He has to prove nothing. And you look, some coaches will not play their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Really, regardless who it is sometimes in the preseason. But Mahomes, Blaine, why?
I don't get it. I saw him, Josh Allen. Just these are your prized possessions. You know how hard it is to find a guy like this, a true top 5 quarterback. He's not going to forget. It's like riding a bike. He's not. He knows the speed of the game. He's been in it enough. He's not going to like. You are putting everything on the line, really, because if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt for the Chiefs, you're done.
Night.
You're done. For what? I saw him get hit twice. And if I'm a coach on that sideline, if I'm a fan, I am freaking out because there is no reason in the world, the amount of money that you pay this guy, that he should be in. He is a superstar, elite talent, that he should be in on a game that will never, ever matter.
Just remember, preseason is the regular season for backups.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Chance to make a spot. Look, Andy Reid's forgotten more football than I'll ever know, but a simple cost-benefit analysis, I think, could be run here. Let's talk about some of the younger quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett is having a great preseason.
Yeah.
Speaking of guys who need to play, and then seems like Matt Corral, a guy we were big on, may miss the season.
Yeah, it's got the Liz Frank. I hate to see that for Matt, but it was probably going to be basically a redshirt year for him anyway. I'm sure he'll be back. And I wonder, while an injury is never good, is his foot maybe being hurt, keeping him in the pocket more, maybe not making crazy decisions running the ball? Could that be something that actually helps him in the long run? We'll see, but I'm an eternal optimist. I want to give a shout out to Kenny Pickett. All right, this is a guy that there were reports early in camp that was struggling. Coming out of the draft, I wasn't, and we still got to play games now. Like, nothing is said or done. Even someone said I don't make knee-jerk reactions. But there's a few things that stand out to me, okay? You look at his numbers. 19 of 22 in 2 games with 3 touchdowns. Don't believe he's thrown an interception. Now, a lot of the passes have been short. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you're completing passes and scoring touchdowns, doesn't matter. But the 2 things that stand out to me, game 1, you lead a game-winning touchdown drive. Game-winning touchdown drive in the clutch moments. And some people say, oh, that's against the 3rd and 4th team. Still better than any college team he's ever played.
Yep.
Like, this is the NFL. It's different. Second thing, game 2, you lead a big touchdown drive in the final minute of the first half. Those are things that are not common. It's not common to see a guy come into a new job and be able to do something in the clutch the way Kenny Pickett has. It's been unbelievably impressive. And like Kevin Sumlin said, some people are just born with it. You know, this ain't Maybelline, all right? I think Kenny Pickett, he keeps, and he said it, the more reps I get, the better and better I get. I'm not worried about where I'm at depth chart-wise right now, and I've got to give him props, man. This guy could actually end up being something special. I know it's early. I know it's the preseason, but what else can you ask for him? 19 out of 22? I don't know if I've ever been 19 out of 22 in anything ever.
I love it.
I agree. Kenny's always had that it factor about him. I mean, the man invented a move on the football field.
He slide canceled.
Yeah, like I didn't think it was a real thing, but Kenny, he's always had that swagger about him, right? That confidence about him. The moments never felt too big. So we'll see out in Pittsburgh. I know you got Rudolph. You know, I know you have guys out there, but I mean, watch out for baby hands Pickett.
Mitch Trubisky is not a high bar to beat out, but he's still an NFL quarterback.
You're right.
Seasoned, and you know it's tough to come in and start as a rookie.
I trust Bernie Madoff more than Mitch Trubisky.
I hear you. Last one for the NFL to round it out. Dana White told Rob Gronkowski and the whole gang at the UFC fight that Brady and Gronk were both almost Raiders, but John Gruden blocked the deal.
Man, I'm having a hard time believing this.
You think so?
John Gruden.
Dana White's just making this up?
John Gruden is a football genius, okay? This is what he does, okay? He's the Alan Turing of math and breaking codes, okay? I just have a very hard time believing that John Gruden would be like, Tom Brady, Gronk, nah, don't want him. John Gruden's the ultimate football guy. I mean, he gets in the film room at 4 a.m. I mean, he's watching Little League games in his spare time, like sitting at the table with salt, pepper shakers, and sugar packets, putting the offenses together and coming up with stuff. You know, he probably was watching film at his wedding. I just have such a, and I don't think Dana White's a liar. Maybe there's like a semblance of truth to it, but I don't think you just look at Derek Carr and you're like, Tom Brady, nah, give me Derek Carr. I have a hard time believing it, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, look, it worked out all right for Tom Brady and Gronk.
It did.
You go get a Super Bowl in Tampa?
Yeah.
They hadn't made the playoffs like a decade and a half before you got there.
They haven't been that excited about Tampa since Kenny Powers was going down there.
Look, the thing about me is like I believe every word that comes out of Dana White's mouth. I believe every word.
Everything.
Except
I do.
this, or you just...
No, I do believe this.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
I do believe this. I don't see why this would be the most random.
It'd be
lie
random.
to ever say. Like, I'm not. Look, Gruden, football guy, great IQ, one of the best, but I'm not surprised by this. I feel like Gruden would make this move because it's Gruden.
Well, Gronk asked him the question and said, "Will you tell this story?" And Dana White said, "You really want me to tell this story now?" So clearly, there's something up.
Look, there is, or it's the greatest con of all time. We'll see. But a guy we're very excited to get on the show, especially to lead off our morning lineup now that we're in drive time. Hall of Famer. You can catch him calling games. Him, Spencer Tillman, they do an unbelievable job. That is our good friend, Tim Brando, Timmy B. Good morning, brother.
From John Boy to Crane and Company. How you've grown. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. Yeah, we're really excited. Blaine, let's get the Booster Club hot. I want to jump right in, Timmy B, because there's a lot. We know if we got football this week, college football this week. Let me just say that again slower. We have college football this week. I almost want to break down and cry. Speaking of weddings. But I want to start. Me and you were talking on social media a little bit the other day. There's a lot of talk about who the third best team in the SEC is. A lot of people, obviously, Bama and Georgia, they've earned the right to be the class of the SEC with all the talk in the preseason. You have some thoughts on Texas A&M this year, and I want to go ahead and start there. Let's House of Dragons was on last night. Let's breathe some fire.
Let's do it.
Well, I don't know who the third best team is. I mean, I really don't. I'm not following the league as closely, obviously, as I once did. I follow all of college football, but I don't follow the conferences as closely as I once did. From a distance, gosh, it could be Ole Miss, Kentucky, Arkansas. I mean, it could be one of those three. People want to throw in Tennessee. I understand there are more magazine subscriptions sold in Tennessee than in Mississippi, so that helps, possibly prop Tennessee up. But Texas A&M is without question overrated for what they have accomplished on the field coming in, for the schedule that they have going, and to not really know who your quarterback is. And I know Jimbo is a quarterback whisperer, a hell of a coach, but they've had their fair share of distractions too. And I just think A&M is sucking all the joy out of really who is third. Okay. I mean, Georgia supposedly has got to be right behind Alabama. I like them. I think Georgia is a team that could conceivably be in the college football playoff again this year. I do. But this thought that A&M, solely because we're living in a world now, Jake, of what your recruiting numbers are, just automatically props you up into the following season. And I just don't get that. Just because you got more 5 stars and 4 stars and your collectives are doing better than everybody else, that does not always translate to W's on the field. Now, look, last year, that team was mediocre except for really that one game against Alabama. They put it together. Good for them. Good for Jimbo. But I think the combination of that plus the recruiting numbers on A&M, it's almost as if these other teams that are in this conversation about third best don't really exist. It's got to be A&M just because. And I don't buy that.
Yeah, and again, it's you look obviously more at the transfer portal than you would about freshmen coming in. Yeah. A couple freshmen can come in and make an impact. We've seen that, especially with the way training's been developed nowadays, and younger guys are more ready. But transfer portal guys are more of a commodity. And Tim, I've got A&M starting 1 and 2 in the SEC. You start with the Arkansas at a neutral site. You go to Mississippi State, which Mike Leach always beats somebody in that early window that he's not supposed to beat, going all the way back to Washington State. Then you got Bama on the road, who you not only beat last year, but called out before the season and beat. So it could be a weird start for A&M and Miami and before the conference season.
Well, you mentioned the Pirate and Mississippi State. Here's my sleeper in the league, okay? Because I do think Kiffin's team, maybe even to some extent Brian Kelly's team, are getting a little more love than Mississippi State. But if Will Rogers stays upright, that's your sleeper team. That's your team that could maybe come out of, wait a minute, are they that good? Mississippi State is a dangerous team as long as Rogers is the quarterback. He's not just a system guy. I talked to Archie Manning last week, and I always love to get his read on what he saw at the academy. And, man, he loves Rodgers. He just thinks he's a difference maker. And look, there are a lot of great quarterbacks from a number standpoint that played for Mike, whether at Texas Tech or Wazoo. But this kid is special, and he's got a future beyond the SEC, no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, we said on this show a couple weeks ago, we think he's the second most NFL-ready quarterback in the league right now.
I would agree with that.
He's in my top 5 in the country as far as quarterbacks go. Can I go to the Big Ten?
You can go. Permission granted.
Let's go to the Big Ten here. Look, I will forever be biased in who I want to win when Michigan plays Ohio. You know that. But I won't be biased when I'm delivering the facts. And Ohio is going to be formidable this season. Ryan Day clearly has those boys ready to go. Jackson Smith-Ajigba is going to be one of the best wide receivers in the country, and they return maybe a Heisman favorite at the quarterback position in C.J. Stroud. Now, Michigan loses a lot on the defensive line and Dax Hill from the safety position. But also, on the flip side of that, Ohio has their top 2 wide receivers gone in the first 11 picks of the NFL draft, and they have a coordinator change as well, even though I think Jim Knowles is going to do great on the defensive side. Our boy Steve Day said they may have a physicality problem. I don't want to go that far, but what I want to ask you is, are we just handing the Big Ten Conference to Ohio too soon? Can Michigan or one of these other teams actually win this conference this season?
A little bit. I think you're onto something. I realize who you're rooting for because you failed to put state on the end of Ohio.
I didn't fail. I succeeded.
Is that a little bit of a Dan Mullen up north kind of thing that you got going on there?
We're winning.
Can't spell citrus without UT.
But Ohio State's offense is an absolute juggernaut. Now, Spencer and I are going to go up there for the Toledo Rockets the third week of the season. So the little Mac attack coming in. Last year, we were up there week 3, and it was after the Oregon loss. And Tulsa was a touchdown behind with under 10 minutes to play. Okay, they had real problems defensively at that time. And at the point that Tulsa was there, they were not very good. But they got good after that and made their run in the American Conference. So, but they look like that old line from Hank Stram in the Super Bowl years and years ago. Look at Kosalski and Winston out there. They look like the Chinese fire drill. That's what it looked like, watching them defensively. And I'll tell you this about Knowles, because I had Oklahoma State 4 times last year. We had the Cowboys 4 times. I told Mike Gundy we should have gotten a leather sweater, at least. We were there so many times. The Cowboys were really good, and I saw them against good teams and bad teams. That defense was legit, and he's going to solve Ohio State's issues in their back end. Their back 7 was just all over the place when we were there last year. That will change. So I think that's the basis for Ohio State love, and it's certainly one of the reasons why I picked them number 1 over Alabama. I think the offense is unstoppable. You mentioned all the great players they have. Travion Henderson is, in my opinion, if not the best back, he's right behind Bijan Robinson in terms of his athletic talent and his ability to run the football. You add all of that together, and I don't think that Stroud can win the Heisman because his playmakers might be better than him. I think there will be votes going to both Smith and Jigba and maybe even Travion Henderson because, he got a record-breaking number of yards for a freshman in a single game that day. And if they give him the ball a little bit more, I think he can amass some great numbers. But
to
your
Mac
point,
Jones.
Ohio State's kind of gotten like Alabama North. It's easy to just place them there. But I think that the Knowles hire to go along with all of the talent offensively is the reason for it.
Well, I know they'll be great. While we're on the Big Ten, let's go Big Ten adjacent with Notre Dame, shall we? Because we did a segment last week.
Just join the Big Ten.
College football would be better if this Midwestern Catholic school would join the Big Ten. Reports are that they are going to remain independent. But when we did this segment, half of the Notre Dame fans reached out and said, we love that. That would be great. And then I had some Notre Dame fans saying, we've tried to join the Big Ten before. Actually, it was Michigan who blocked our entry into the Big Ten. Do you remember anything like that happening in the past? And do you think
Yes.
the Irish, can you break that down then? And do you think, what does the independent nature of the Irish look like over the next decade, say?
Well, the old relationships between the Big Ten, past athletic directors, even to some extent past Commissioner Jim Delaney, were a little bit distant from Notre Dame in the past. I don't think that's the case any longer. As a matter of fact, I know it's not the case. And the deal for Jack Swarbrick is this. They have so many endowments at Notre Dame, they can walk away from an extra $500 million, and it's not that big of a deal. It's not because of the TV deal with NBC. they weren't really making a lot of money in today's terms on that deal. They're trying to get up to around 60 or 70 million for their new television deal, which you would expect NBC to pony up now that they have the Big Ten in prime time. You certainly want to keep Notre Dame and let that be a lead-in to most of those games for 7 of those weeks. Here's my thought. I do believe that Notre Dame could cut a deal very similar with a wink and a nod with the Big Ten, whereby they could maintain their independence as long as they guarantee what they did guarantee John Swofford when he was the ACC commissioner, and that's playing 5 games on a rotating basis, including road games, against Big Ten teams. You're only adding maybe 2 or 3. You're already playing Michigan State. You're already playing Michigan. You really don't have to. Ohio State, they're playing to open the season this year. So you really don't have to add that many to make that happen. That way, Notre Dame would secure the fact that all of their games would be on NBC. Conceivably, they could play at night on NBC on the road as part of the Big Ten package, and they could have their day games, in that 3:30 window, or even if they wanted to play at noon, they could play then as well. So I think it's a cake and eat it too type of situation for Swarbrick. At some point, I do believe they will join a conference. It may not be now, but I think it definitely could happen. And the relationship between Notre Dame and the Big Ten is a lot better now than it was even 5 years ago.
Great.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the Booster Club involved.
Let's do it.
I love to get a boost. How you doing today, Tim? We're gonna go.
Great.
We're gonna go.
I'm
Travis. We're gonna go. Travis Elrod. All right. He says, Tim, which is more important in college football, recruiting talent or improving talent?
Improving talent. I mean, I can go over and over how many times. Take a look at Mike Gundy's career. Now, yeah, he's lost to Oklahoma more than he's won. A hell of a lot more losses than he's won. But look at what he has done in terms of developing not just talent, but assistant coaches. Go down the litany of offensive coordinators who spent time, all the way back to Dana Holgorsen. I can go on and on about guys that were with him there. Now Jim Knowles is coming out of that defense. That was one of the best defenses I've ever seen that he had a year ago. And were it not for a really bungled goal line offense at the end, they would have beaten Baylor and been in the college football playoff, and Cincinnati would have been out last year. He knows he's not going to get the same people Oklahoma gets, but he always develops that talent. He's had consistency and stability at the top, albeit with coaches leaving about every 3rd or 4th year. He loses a lot of his staff. I definitely believe recruiting is huge, yes, and the greatest programs are always going to get them as long as we have this 4-team college football playoff. The recruiting advantages to Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson are there because only 4 teams get in. And yet last year, if you go back and look at the regular season, fellas, you'll see we had a hell of a lot of upsets. We had a lot. The parity story is in college football, but we don't see it in the postseason. Therefore, we disregard it entirely. And that's a shame. But yes, I think developing talent is still far more important. Well, not far, but more important than recruiting.
If you can do both, you'll murder people. See Nick Saban.
And that's why Saban. And that's why Saban's been where he's been for such a long time.
That's exactly right.
All right, let's go out to the Pac-12. Oregon Ducks. Troy Jacob wants to know, what's your expectations for Oregon this year, and how much will Dan Lanning improve Oregon's defense?
That's a very interesting question because, and we'll get an early read on it, right? I mean, we're going to get an early read on that. The talent level at Oregon is very good. I mean, Cristobal did a hell of a job recruiting before he left. The fit for him is going to be interesting, especially now with the changing face of the Pac-12, what that job is and what that job is going to be. But, I think that defensively, if they can shore that up, and certainly, he's outstanding at it, the personnel on the offensive side of the ball is always going to be good. With USC gone and UCLA gone in the future, I think Oregon can be the banner carrier for the league if they continue. They are, without question, the team that's left in the Pac-12 that draws the most eyeballs. They get good ratings whenever they're on. They and Washington are the 2 higher-rated teams, although what I'm hearing about Big Ten expansion right now is it's more of a San Francisco thing with Cal at Stanford. I frankly believe Oregon and Washington are the other 2 eyeball getters from a television rating standpoint. Mm-hmm. But that's a hell of a good question. I'm not sure. I think if he is as good first-year head coach as he has been coordinator, then I think there's stability as one of the top-tier teams in the Pac-12 is going to remain, and he may even improve on that. But he can reap the benefit of some of Mario's recruiting as a first-year head coach.
Yeah, I agree. I actually have a question, Tim. Let's talk about the ACC and Clemson, because you kind of mentioned a lot of people were giving Ohio State in the Big Ten. Well, everyone's giving ACC Clemson the championship in the ACC. If you're Clemson, what team should you be worried about the most?
North Carolina State. They're coming to you, and they're going to beat you.
Yes.
They're coming to you, and they are going to beat you come October. I love Doran's team. Hell, most people couldn't name a player on his squad. He's got a transfer quarterback that I think can make a real difference. And he's also got, a team leader that is also a quarterback. His quarterback room is fine. But what I love about them is their back end, their back seven, and particularly their corners. They have probably the best defensive backfield of any team in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And they were really on their way to becoming pretty doggone good last year. I think they're going to take another step. I think he's a modern day. I'm aging myself a little bit. Dick Sheridan was a hell of a coach. And when he was at North Carolina State, a lot of guys were coming after him, but he was a little bit like Doran. I think he didn't like the bright lights. He was understated. I think the same is true with Doran. And he's been there 10 years now, and he has every year gotten that program better and better. And I think North Carolina State is a big-time sleeper nationally, and I think they're going to win the ACC. The league is not that good, and that's one of the reasons why Clemson's been able to be so dominant for such a long period of time.
Yeah, two most underrated coaches in college football, in my opinion, Kyle Whittingham, Dave Doran. Those are the two.
Yeah, Doran's outstanding.
Yeah.
He really is.
Timmy B, speaking of outstanding, it's always great when you come on, my friend. Thank you so much for making the time, getting up with us. Hey, what's your first game? What's the first game you're calling this year? Let everybody know.
We got a twofer. I think the bosses at Fox thought, well, Brando's been off for 5 months. He's been playing golf. We'll just give him 2 games the opening week. So Spencer and I opened with a conference game, a game that, when you think about it, Indiana is a program that is coming off a bad year after a 6-win COVID season. They can't afford to lose to Illinois, and Brett Bielema's got a team that I think has a chance to go to a bowl this year. So Illinois at Indiana on Friday, September the 2nd. That'll be on FS1. Then we're going to hop in a Hummer, right? Have a few libations while the driver drives.
Yep.
Up north to Camp Randall, and we've got Illinois State, the Redbirds at Wisconsin. So on Wisconsin on Saturday night, the 3rd. And then the following week, Texas Tech hosts Houston. That's a great Big 12 2023 preview. And I love Houston, by the way. They're my fly in the ointment. I think Holgerson will win every game this year. And but they don't play a good enough road schedule against a power team to do what Cincinnati did. And then week 3, we go up to Columbus again. We've got Toledo at Ohio State in week 3.
Nice. Well, we're really excited, Timmy B. Anytime you get on the call, number 1, that means football's back. Number 2, we get to watch you and Spencer do your thing. And Fresno State's my fly in the ointment. They do have a good enough schedule and an away game at USC. A lot of Cincinnati vibes there.
Hey,
you can kind of feel it.
That game, Fresno State at USC is on Fox. We've got a quadruple hitter that week. And right after Ohio State, Toledo will have Fresno State at USC,
Nice.
A little Pac-12 after dark. That'll be fun.
Can't
I'm with
wait.
you on that pick. I like
sure.
that pick.
Jake Hayner's a witch. Timmy B, I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Take care.
All right, brother. See ya. All right, if you want to watch the rest of the show, remember, we're going to have the audio here. Head over to the Daily Wire Plus, become a member, or listen to us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you do, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. And by the way, watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe button if you haven't. We're coming right back with some more great content. It's the new morning show, and we're off to a great start. All right, Blaine, I want to go to the Booster Club What are they saying? Yes.
You want to come here?
I want to come there.
Do you?
Yes.
Give me your ticket.
No.
Yeah,
I
you got
lost
to pay the
it.
toll. All right.
Password.
Look, Matt Sherman came in hot.
Did he come in hot?
I'll be honest.
The
He came
Shermanator?
in hot. The Shermanator. And this is what he said. He said NC State would be the third best team in the SEC. The SEC is extremely overrated. Just two top-heavy teams.
Okay, good. So
Good. I love it, Matt, on a Monday,
right.
an early Monday morning coming in hot,
I love
baby.
you coming here throwing flames, but please let me break this down from a fundamental standpoint. It's a very common misconception that the SEC is very top-heavy. You know, when you play in a conference and you have teams that play each other, you win games and you lose games. So not everybody can go undefeated. Not everybody can finish in the top 10. But if you want to find out why the SEC is superior, I'll give you a couple reasons. One, go look at the NFL draft. Those guys aren't drafting based on just Alabama and Georgia. There's a reason the SEC dominates the NFL draft every year by a lot. And it's only getting more and more. The hardest part about the SEC and any conference that's worth its salt isn't just the top shelf. It isn't just getting to Alabama, getting through Bama, getting through Georgia. I wish it was that easy. It would make everything a lot easier on everybody if it was just a one-off like that. What makes the SEC tough is every environment you play in outside of Vanderbilt, which they're the accountants of the SEC. We all know that. They're accounting to make sure the money's good. Everybody's paying their taxes. Everybody outside of them, the environment is unbelievably hostile. You are playing against NFL players week in and week out and having to go to LSU, then Kentucky, then play Tennessee at home, then go to Bama. It is an absolute battle of attrition. They recruit the best, just look at their rankings. They have the best players, just look at the draft. And you've had, I think, 5 SEC teams win a national championship in the last 15 years, as opposed to what the Big Ten's had, what, 1? Who else has done that? Who else has that parity? Who else has that diversity? And nay, who else has the equity? A thing that definition, we don't even know what it means, but the SEC does have it. It's a common misconception. It's the only argument against. Matt, I love you coming in hot, but I had to put out the flames.
Well, how many SEC teams do you think NC State could beat this season? I think they can beat over half the conference.
Oh, yeah. That's not an indictment against NC State. I mean, I think you can. I think NC State's the second best team in the ACC. So, I mean, you look at, they could beat Vanderbilt. I don't want to go through the list. I could see them beating, like you said, half, maybe even a little more than half
Florida
the SEC.
this year.
But how many teams can the worst team in the ACC beat in the SEC? How many teams can the second worst team beat in the SEC? Or the third worst team? That's where the difference comes in. It's the depth. Just like we talk about on-the-field stuff's the depth, it's the depth when it comes to conference.
Would Devin Leary be the third best quarterback or the second best quarterback in the SEC?
No.
Would he be the second? I think he'd probably be third.
You think he'd be third?
You put in front of Hendon?
He'd be third.
You putting Hendon in front of him?
Well, I'm putting Bryce.
I'm putting Bryce and Will Rogers.
I'm putting Bryce, Will, KJ Jefferson.
No,
you don't put KJ in front of Devin Leary? I'd
put Will and Hendon in front of him.
I think
you're big on Hendon Hooker.
No, I think Hendon's going to have a great year. All right, we had a question here from not Matt, but Big Matt.
Big Matt.
Big Matt.
Who's a Heisman guy no one is talking about?
Part of me, because I'm on this Fresno State train, I want to say Jake Haener.
Okay.
I really, really, really want to say Jake Haener. You can go and pick at the low-hanging fruit. Could Caleb Williams explode on the scene? I'm going to give you a guy to watch out for.
Mm-hmm.
And people laugh and people joke about it. You'll watch out for Bo Nix a little bit.
Is he focused?
No,
is he having fun? Come on, baby.
That joke.
Come on.
He's never played with a good offensive line. Never.
True. It's facts.
It was an absolute dumpster fire with Gus Malzahn at Auburn. Am I calling the plays? Am I not calling the plays? It's like the White Goodman thing off dodgeball. I'm not okay. You're not okay, but that's okay. Bo Nix at a stable place with an offensive line that is quality. He does have weapons around him in the Pac-12. If they go out and he looks really good against Georgia, I don't think they're going to beat Georgia. Do I think they could cover 17 points? Yeah. But
is that the spread?
Good luck on that pick, bud. If Bo Nix goes out and has a big year and Oregon has a big year, I'm not saying he could win it. I think he could possibly get an invite. But if I had to really sit down, gun to the head, make a pick nobody's talking about, give me KJ Jefferson, boys. Give me KJ Jefferson in Arkansas. I got Arkansas going 10-2. All right. Could possibly go 11-1. That game at Auburn is just weird because games at Auburn and Jordan-Hare are weird. But watch out a little bit, KJ
All
Jefferson,
right.
a little bit Bo Nix.
Heisman, no one's talking about. How about Dylan Gabriel then?
I like that.
Oklahoma's going to have a great year, right? We know the kid can play football. He's going to come into a good situation. I mean, people are talking about Quinn Ewers possibly being a Heisman favorite. Hasn't even taken a snap for Texas. How about the counterpart there at Oklahoma? I mean, we have to.
Y'all want to hear a name? Do y'all really want to hear a name?
I'd like
want a
to
little
hear a
bang
name.
for your buck right here?
I'd like to hear a
What
name.
about Grayson McCall at Coastal Carolina?
I love that
What about
pick.
Grayson
They're
McCall?
not
like
giving
it.
the Heisman
I
to the
like
guy
it.
from
Carolina.
Coastal Carolina.
I mean,
he's a great
if
player.
he's out here breaking records, how do you not give it to him?
Because he's at Coastal Carolina.
Okay.
That's not how it works.
First of all, Blake, he is not winning.
He's not winning.
How do you know?
I like
How do you know?
I like
He could win. I mean, the dude can run. He can throw. It's like his 8th year in that system. I don't care.
How
If
many
you
times
play
did Coastal cover for us last season?
A lot.
Yeah.
A
Coastal
lot.
last
Hey,
year
you
was
want
the
another
Marsh.
name? You want another name?
I like
Grant
names.
Wells.
Graham
Virginia
Wells.
Tech?
He get you sophomore though.
No, Grant Wells is he's at Virginia Tech now.
Yeah, he's at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, okay.
I'm telling you, watch for Grant
No,
Wells.
he's not. He's got to stop throwing as many interceptions. But here's the thing. Say Grayson McCall. What? Can we say Will Anderson? Like, can we?
He'll
talk
never
about-
get
Well,
it.
I didn't.
They'll never
hold on,
give
no,
it
no,
to
no.
him.
I thought that was a name where we've already.
Well, I mean,
Defense players can't win Heisman.
defensive. That's what I'm saying. It really is like an under.
if that was open, I would have taken that one.
No, I'm saying
He's gonna
like
be in
you
the
got guys like
conversation.
Mad Dog coming out saying I'll never vote for a defensive player. Well, I'll never trust you again.
You trusted him before?
No.
Okay,
But
good.
if I did, I would have never trusted him again.
How about Hendon Hooker? While we have our new Tennessee jersey here.
Yeah,
How
shout
about
out to
Hendon
Hendon
Hooker as a sleeper?
For
Heisman?
sure. Oh,
Where's
Blaine's
that? I mean-
high on Tennessee. I don't know who's higher in Tennessee right now, like Blaine or Snoop Dogg when he drives through there.
Did Snoop Dogg drive through Tennessee? Is
I
that
think
a
he's
fact?
driven through there a couple times.
You got in your contacts? You've been hitting him up?
Yeah.
I
we
guarantee you
talked a
he's
little
been
bit.
in this
Snoop
state.
D.O.W.
He's had to, for
He's
sure.
been in Tennessee.
For
Well,
sure.
Yeah. Well,
Better leave
life.
them, leave them
I mean, in his
It's a great
life, yeah.
state.
You better
All
leave them Broadway girls
Rico
alone.
Delgado says that LSU will lose one game this year. Best defensive line in football and the best receiver in football.
Okay.
Talking about LSU?
Yeah, first point, disagree with. Am huge on Brian Kelly in the long run. Like I said, LSU will win a national championship within the next 5 years. I don't think that's a crazy take at all. Number 2, best D-line. Nah, I got to go with Clemson. I've got to go with Clemson. LSU's, you've got to show it. I know LSU stays with talent. We've talked about it till we're blue in the face on this show with the way they recruit. But I do agree with number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Keyshawn Butte is 100% Hogwarts grad witch of the highest order. He's going to make it a whole hell of a lot easier on Jaden Daniels, who I think is going to be the guy. Those guys, when the play breaks down and Jaden Daniels gets out of the pocket and Butte is Dr. Seuss, they just put a Fitbit on this guy and watch him run around people for 3.5 hours. I think Keyshawn Butte is going to be electric, not only in college football, but he is going to be a hell of an NFL player, a great slot for somebody, and a guy that is very, very diverse when it comes to a skill set.
You talk about sleeper picks for Heisman? There's one.
Okay.
Keyshawn Butte. Now, I don't think he's going to have enough around him to be able to explode like he needs to.
Yeah.
I mean, even Max Johnson was able to get him the ball a good bit last year, but
Not
I
enough.
mean, he is incredible.
Oh, dude, he's in that Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type of receiver.
He's
one of those
elite.
guys.
Keyshawn's elite.
Stephen Moore says if UGA loses a regular season game, who is it to?
Pull up the schedule.
Florida.
You got Florida. You have Florida.
It just feels
Really?
like one of those things. Look, I don't think they're going to lose to Florida, but it just feels like one of those things. First-year head coach at Florida. No one's giving him a chance. You already basically play a home game, okay, down there in Jacksonville. Seems like if you're going to lose one.
I think it's going to be week 1.
Really?
It's the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, you already
You
called
did
that.
say that. I'll give you
If I had to
credit.
pick you another one, it'd be Kentucky on the road. That's what I was
That is somewhat
That's
of
a
a
good
scary.
pick.
Go through their schedule real quick. Blake.
All right, week 1, you got Oregon.
Win.
In my opinion, lost, David.
Win.
Week 2, oh, God, you got Stanford.
That's a
It's
win.
going to be a tough one.
Bulldogs versus the Bulldogs. Spider-Man, Jeff.
All right, you go week 3, you go to South Carolina, the Fighting Spencer Rattlers.
It's going to be closer than the experts think. I
Yeah.
know some people have picked South Carolina to beat Georgia. I am not one of those people.
Win.
All right, then you got the Golden Flashes, Kent State at home.
Murdered. You don't like playing them, though. They're go super fast. Hey, we lost by 28.
All right, then you go to Missouri.
That's a win.
Slaughter.
Sorry, Eli.
Then you have Auburn at home.
Win.
then
Yeah.
you got Vandy at home.
Murder.
Then you got Florida.
There you go, Dan.
Win.
You know?
Win.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say now. I'm just saying.
I know it is.
Maybe 4 or 5 weeks in, Anthony Richardson's starting to do some things that are like, wow.
He's like completing passes?
Man, he looks kind of like Cam Newton situation.
Don't ever.
I did that just for you, okay? I did that just for you.
Don't do that to me. All right, then you got Tennessee at home.
That's a win. No, Blaine, again, I keep telling you, there is a better chance. There is a whole heck of a lot better chance of Tennessee beating Bama at home than going on the road to beat Georgia. I'm just telling you. This is what it is.
I don't think so.
I do.
I don't think so.
I do because my brain works.
Have an experienced quarterback like you have in Hendon Hooker, Josh Heupel, the type of offense they run, that you can get, if they get in front of Georgia early, all right, maybe by a couple possessions, they can win that game. You go back and watch that game last year, they had chances to really compete in that game for 4 quarters. They killed them. The linebackers for Georgia killed them. Just killed them.
Do you remember last year before the Georgia-Tennessee game? Because I literally told everybody, I was like, let me tell you what's about to happen in this game. Tennessee is going to go down and score quick, and everybody's going to freak out. They're like, oh, my gosh, they could actually do it. And then just, what do we say, overtime? You know, that John Mayer say, gravity. Gravity just gets you. Gravity just gets you.
Go to Mississippi State on the road.
Win.
To Kentucky.
That's, man.
Be a good game.
It'd be a good game, but it's a win for me. I got Georgia going undefeated to the SEC championship game, so I can go ahead and tell you what I got.
And you got Georgia Tech.
Sorry, Jeff. Sorry, my name's Jeff.
All right, let's go
one more, and then we'll...
One more. All right, let's see what we got in here. Okay, what are our thoughts on a team? Well, I kind of answered this earlier, but a team other than Miami, a team other than NC State. Who should Clemson be worried about in the ACC?
Man, you look around, North Carolina, maybe.
Maybe.
You know,
maybe add Gene Chizik.
Yeah, they do. I know that you've got a great quarterback battle going on with Criswell and May, and we'll see who wins that. North Carolina is talented. I know a lot of the guys at the Senior Bowl and scouts are really.
I got one
roster.
for you.
Who?
How about Louisville?
You know, I'm not buying Louisville. I like Cunningham. I think he's dynamic. I know Satterfield and them really need to turn up. I'm just not buying the roster. I don't think they have enough depth. Again, Malik's unbelievable. He's unbelievably talented. Long strider. He gets going. He's really, really nasty with it. But I'm just not buying the Louisville hype. I won't do it.
How about Pitt returning all those starters on the offensive line?
Look, Keaton Slovis, that's the one, really. If we're going to pick one, that's really the one for me because, look, Slovis is talented. They do have a dog at wide receiver. And Pitt with Narduzzi coming off last year, we know how exciting it was with Kenny Pickett. They know how to win. The culture's really changed there, which is a term that gets overused more, but Narduzzi's really overused too much. But Narduzzi has really done a good job. But Pitt would be the pick for me. Because Sam Hartman out at Wake changes a lot for me.
Yep.
Because that was they go to Wake, the slowest RPO of all time. It's tough, but I'll go Pitt.
All right, Cal Kennedy, last preseason, he's talking about you, Jake. Last preseason, you had a take on Florida that they were overrated and would finish 4th in the East, which, of course, you nailed. You have a similar prediction again this year.
You know, we put out our SEC predictions. I think it's A&M. You know, I think it's A&M. A lot of people, and you'll be, oh, well, that's chalk. You got A&M going to 8-4 or maybe 9-3. I have A&M starting out 1-2 or 0-3 in the SEC. I think A&M this year in 2022 will have 4 losses in the SEC. I think there's going to be 3 teams in the SEC West that go 4-4. I think it's going to be a log jam in the middle. So I think 2023 is the year for A&M. I may have them preseason number 1 going into it, depending on how I feel about the quarterback situation. We'll see with Haynes King. We'll see with Max Johnson. You know, whatever. We'll see how it goes. But A&M is that team this year for me that I think is being overhyped. I'm not saying they're, super overrated, because for them to be overrated in my eyes, I would have to rate them really high. I just don't. I'm not feeling A&M. I think they're this year's Florida.
All right, Brian Howard says, as an A&M fan, I honestly don't think A&M will be the 3rd best team in the SEC unless Max Johnson is a starter.
I'm with you.
And that's because just the inconsistency at quarterback.
It's so good to hear somebody say that from A&M. It's so good to hear somebody say that. Give me the name again. What's his name?
I'd have to go back and find it.
But he says unless Max Johnson's the starter, well, that could happen. I mean, that's likely to happen.
Yeah, I hope.
I mean, it could happen, right?
Okay, we got a little
people are talking about Haynes
situation.
King.
Look, I think I got a feeling Haynes King's going to win the job, and he's going to get replaced by Max Johnson. I close my eyes. It's the fault in my stars. I mean, I can just see it.
Really? Not the other way around.
So we don't trust Jimbo?
It's not that I don't trust Jimbo. think Haynes King was his guy last year, and he got hurt. I think Haynes King was his guy last year, and he got hurt. And there's something about, and look, Max Johnson can run. All right, he's athletic enough to keep the play alive and scramble when he needs to. But Haynes King's 4.45. Like that's, and we know, and I know they beat Bama last year with Zach Calzada. There was a lot of Houdini stuff that was going on left and right. I just think they're going to go with Haynes King, and Max Johnson will win the job because Haynes will turn it over too much. And he may win it after the Miami game because I do think A&M is going to squeak by in that game and win, but I think you're going to see Haynes King turn the ball over if he's the guy. Now, if he's not the guy and they go with Max Johnson, I'm good with that because I think Max is the best quarterback on the roster. But, again, I'm not in the room. I'm not at practice, and I do trust Jimbo with quarterbacks. Anybody that can get Christian Ponder and Kellen Mond drafted the way that he did, I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I know more than you do at the quarterback position. So that's what it is.
Michael Fleming, do we want to do some Super Bowl predictions?
Yes, let's do it real quick.
All right, who y'all got?
Chargers.
I'll go Bills.
That's what I was going to go, David.
Well, we can't be bet buds?
Y'all can't agree?
Can't be bet buds?
What is this, Iran?
I thought you might go Bengals.
No.
Why?
Because he hates the coach. Blaine wanted to fire the coach
after he
threw, what was it, the angle route to the backup running back? And Jamar Chase is over there like, hey, look at me.
How'd you call him into the office again?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember his name. It's like, hey, coach, hey, come take a seat. Come take a seat. Yeah, that's true. Is his locker cleaned out? Okay. Hey, I'm going to need you to give me your playbook and get out.
You know what's
Congrats on taking it.
And I'd had Jamar Chase hitting the gritty. As he was leaving.
Blaine just did this right here as an earpiece.
Yeah.
He actually has one in his other ear.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, man. We have our video mailbag?
Yeah, let's go. All right.
This is our booster club.
Okay. We're starting to do the video mailbag. I've been tweeting out the link for it. So if you have a question, just a real quick clip video or something funny, I've got to give a shout out to our guy Revco, who just hit the Hall of Fame. If you're a brand new listener, number one, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. But we take your videos, you get to 10-0 with our bets. We cap it off at -200. You make the Hall of Fame. And this, our boy Wyatt High sent in a great one last week. This is absolute quality. It's my favorite thing I've seen in a while, and college football's around the corner, so that's going to change. But let's play this video. We may need to use this as an ad for the show. Let's go and play it.
Oh, hello. I was just breaking a little mental sweat. I'm Revco 250, priest, pastor, and member of the Crane & Company Hall of Fame, and I'm here to tell you that you don't have to be stuck with being a loser. Here in the Hall of Fame, we understand that losing and failing miserably are genetic disorders, much like baldness or fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. And it's only your fault if you don't hate yourself enough to do something about it. That's where the show comes in. Crane & Company employs a highly trained, quasi-mustachioed staff that'll help you stop losing with those losers in Las Vegas and become the flaming dragon you're called to be. Of course, you'll still be you in a legal sense, but think of it as a happier, more successful you that chooses violence every day. So join the Booster Club, become a member over at Daily Wire Plus, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Because here in the Hall of Fame, we're better than you. We know it.
Where did you get a sword?
If the camera allowed me to stand up and give a standing ovation,
the bar is high.
It is so high.
The bar is
and if you're listening on audio, you need to go to video and watch the quality of the shots. You know the funniest part to me? The writing is great, but every time the camera changes and the scene changes, he's added something. So it starts out he's walking with a Chiefs hat. Then on the next shot, he's got a glove on. Then on the next shot, he's got a tennis racket. Then in the next shot, he's got his priest thing. And then the last one, he's standing there with a sword. Revco 250, our good friend. That is absolutely well done. Kudos to you, sir. And again, it doesn't have to be a video about being in the Hall of Fame. Just you can send us a video mailbag question about sports, whatever. We had one that we may play next week that features Bigfoot, which was pretty interesting to say the least. Yeah. But Coney.
I had one left over from Rapid Fire, or we can go and get into our fantasy tip of the day.
Let's go Rapid Fire, the last one from Rapid Fire, and then I want to do this fantasy tip.
Well, mostly I just want to talk about the Braves here. Won their series with the Mets, won their series with the Astros. It's not just the Braves. It's not that. It's
every day. We just might as well be a Braves show.
I just wanted to.
Let's just be a Braves.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, let's just do a Braves show.
I thought I might just mention the fact that they had two good series there before I say Braves fans did boo Ozuna. just like you had called for.
Yes, they should have. They should have. This dude's more of a distraction than Gal Gadot walking around naked in the room during the show.
Where?
Like, I wouldn't be able. Where? Yeah, that's exactly right. Again, you have this young core talent. I said this when it happened. You have this young core talent. Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, who may or may not be there after this year, Austin Riley, Michael Harris, who's an up-and-coming star. And that should, look at the pitch that Max Fried, Soroka. You have all this young talent, and you don't want a guy in the locker room that doesn't care about the team. You're in the middle of a race for the NL East, and the Mets are figuring it out. Still think they're going to fall apart at some point, but they're figuring it out, and you're in a fight for your life for the East. And this guy, I'm not saying you can't go out and have a good time. I'm not saying you're out there getting DUIs. You beat up your woman last year and got suspended. They should boo him. They should boo him. Number one, just because of the action. And number two, that shows me you don't care about the team. And I was shocked he started. I was actually really disappointed that he started. I get it's a business. I get it. But when you have a guy that's a distraction like that, I know the contract situation, it just stinks. In my opinion, it stinks, but it was great they booed him. He deserves to get booed, and I'd boo him every time before he was out of Atlanta because I don't trust you. I don't trust you. Number one, get behind the wheel drunk. We've all made mistakes. That's not something that's cool. You put everybody else in jeopardy, but you also put the team in jeopardy, and you're showing the young guys who look up to the older guys when you have that many young guys the wrong way to do it, and there's enough guys that do it the right way in that locker room. But tomorrow, we're going to give you our predictions for who wins each division of Major League Baseball. There's a couple that we know it's pretty much OVOXO, but there's also a couple that are going to be choi, like a choi guy.
And just to make Blaine happy, there's a Subway Series beginning in New York.
Yes,
tonight.
could be one of my bets.
Scherzer on the mound.
Cat eyes.
Like ever since Boone hit that table and that bottle started floating in the air, the Yankees are starting to figure it out.
Aaron Boone is my favorite coach in Major League Baseball, and I don't like the Yankees. I don't. Y'all know I'm a Braves guy. Keep it stacked. But Aaron Boone is my favorite coach in Major League Baseball.
One hit, one home run, baby. That's all it took.
Now, Aaron Boone was a good player. He's
I know, but still.
And his brother, Brett Boone, also dropped tanks. His last name was Gadarian. All right, Coney.
Love it. Fantasy football?
Tip of the day.
Fantasy football tip of the day. What do we say? If you have the number one overall pick.
Okay. So, obviously, we just announced our deal with DraftKings. Super excited about it. Make sure you go download DraftKings Sportsbook. We are going to start doing our daily fantasy lineup as well. Super excited about that. But we also want to start giving our fantasy tip of the day. The drafts are happening. Now, if you're smart, you wait till the end of the preseason draft just because of injuries. But sometimes you can't wait. So, let's start with an easy one here.
This is 10-team full PPR league that we're talking about
Yes,
here.
10-team full PPR league. If you have the number one overall pick.
Which I do in one of my leagues.
Which you do, and congrats on that. We're really excited about it. I know the family's excited. It's a lot of exciting stuff going on in the Cone household right now. Ace had his first birthday.
Yeah,
the other day,
birthday party.
Got a brand new car.
Yeah.
Nicer than mine. Got a white Silverado.
I did think Darby's theme for the party, this is my first rodeo. That was pretty clever.
Yeah.
That was pretty clever. But if I had the first pick, Jonathan Taylor's obviously an easy one. Jonathan Taylor, look, if you want Jonathan Taylor, go get him. You can't be wrong. But it gets a little wonky for me if you're going to take another route. Because if you look, Austin Eckler last year, ton of points, guy you played with in college, to put up a ton of points, but he said he wants a reduced workload. All right, they put a lot of pressure on him last year. He said he wants a reduced workload. Derrick Henry would be my second. If I was going to take a running back, and let's just say for some reason Jonathan Taylor wasn't, you were going to pick another running back, it would be Derrick Henry for me. I know he's coming off an injury, but Derrick Henry's shown you he's not super injury prone. He's back healthy. He's a guy that can handle a heavy workload, and the Titans lean on him like a fat person that's tired on a wall. So when I look at Christian McCaffrey, I just don't trust him. I don't trust him. I know PPR, he's going to catch balls out of the backfield, but he gets hurt every year. Yep. Literally, it's every year, and it stinks to say. It's like Saquon Barkley, too. I can't trust you. I can't trust you. But if you were going to go another route outside of running back, all right, if we were going to detour outside of running back, there's two guys, to me, they don't play receiver. It's Mark Andrews, who's coming off, hold on.
The first round?
Hold on before you freak out. He's coming off a career year, and they just lost Hollywood Brown. So they're going to have to lean on him even more. Tight end, a value elite tight end pick. There's a lot of receivers going out there can score points, all right? There's a lot of running backs that go out there and score points. That tight end position can be the difference. May not be the reason, but it could be the difference. You know who the second one to tight end I'd look at? Travis Kelce.
Justin Tucker.
Travis Kelce. No, you know what? You bite your tongue. Is Travis Kelce at tight end? If you're going to go an alternate route, if we're going to kind of move on over and not take Jonathan Taylor, a running back, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce. Look, I'm just giving different options here,
Look,
guys.
since we're going to be playing in the same league, I love that's your philosophy.
Thank you.
I love that.
Wait, no, I'm taking Jonathan Taylor.
No. Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I'm saying if you're going to go an alternate route, I'm giving alternate options.
Yeah.
I do have the number 1 overall pick in one of these leagues coming up. It is 10-team, full PPR. I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor with that first overall pick. I don't think you can go wrong with Derrick Henry anytime you're drafting in fantasy, but a full PPR, I think you get more value.
Matt Ryan
catching passes. Look, I watched Matt Ryan play a lot of football in Atlanta. For people who think he's going to go to the Colts and he makes them worse somehow, I just don't he's going to get Jonathan Taylor the football, So I like Jonathan Taylor with the number 1 overall pick. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is just too high. There's just too much that can go wrong with that number 1 pick to me. At that point, I think you'd be better off trading back and getting more back-to-back picks, to be honest, which is an option that a lot of people are talking about from the number 1 spot.
Okay, yeah.
What do you think?
Blaine would never trade.
I would say this. Do not draft a tight end with the first pick.
I'm saying that as an alternate option, Blaine.
I don't care what alternate option. Do not draft a tight end for the first pick in your draft. Please do not. He wouldn't. All right? He wouldn't. I know him. He would not. If you take anything other than Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry, I promise you, I'm going to find a way to get David to tell you to get off his lawn. It has to be one of these two guys. I don't like taking receivers for first picks. I don't. There's a lot more receivers than there are running backs. That's just a true statement. So it has to be Jonathan Taylor would be the safer pick, just from an injury standpoint. But you got to remember, Derrick Henry was leading all fantasy last year before he hurt his foot. All right, so these are 2 value picks. These are the 2 guys, and you go back to the running backs kind of under that tier. You got the Nick Chubbs. You got the Austin Ecklers who want a less load. You have to be in a PPR league, but there are guys out there. But if it's me, my fantasy tip of the day, it's these 2 guys. It's these 2 guys. If you have anything later than the first round past the 5th pick, then you can kind of start getting in the tight end game a little bit, the Mark Andrews to Travis Kelce's. But if you have the first pick in the NFL draft and you don't draft Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor, you deserve to lose.
I'm with that. No, I'm with that. Again, I'm just saying, if somebody's out there, trying to play devil's advocate, trying to Tony Stark, let's swipe the things over in midair, a little Rain Man. There's a lot of equations and numbers in front of my eyes. You're trying to mix it up a little bit. It's just something to think about. It's a little food for thought, and that's the fantasy tip of the day.
Something to think about. What kind of value are you guys putting on Najee Harris right now?
High value. Extremely high value.
But you don't put him on
RB1.
You don't put him in the top
RB1.
You don't put him in the top 5 group though. In that top 5 pick group. You put him in the back half of that.
Listen, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. Who you putting 3? Eckler?
Nick Chubb.
You putting Chubb 3?
So you wouldn't even take Christian McCaffrey in the first round if you had, say, the 10th pick?
No.
You're not taking him in the
ruined
first
so
round.
many fantasy.
He's one of those guys you're waiting for it to happen.
I'm big on Najee Harris, man. I agree.
Me too. Well, you got to think. I mean, he's especially with the new quarterback.
He's a complete
going to get an even bigger workload. Yeah. So, you look at those top tier backs. What are you thinking? You're thinking Dalvin Cook, right? You're thinking Nick Chubb. You're thinking Derrick Henry.
Some
you're thinking
places
Jonathan
have Joe
Taylor.
I
think Joe Mixon's a star, but not a superstar.
I'll take Najee.
With all the weapons they have on the Bengals, it's tough to take Joe Mixon. But in a PPR league, it's really good to have Joe Mixon.
Well, the offensive line.
Flares, the offensive line, they'll be doing a lot of stuff. But he's really inconsistent sometimes in running the ball. But the Dalvin Cooks of the world, and if you want to go late, you can go late. I think Travis Etienne would be a good pickup. I mean, he got hurt last year. I know he played for the Jags, but he's going to get a heavy workload. But there's plenty of guys, really, you can get late. I mean, what's his name? Dameon Pierce?
Yeah, dude, I'm going to tell you this. Dalvin Cook won me a league one year.
The kid, really? When Dalvin Cook goes off, he goes off. So I'm talking about 200 plus in the bag.
Dalvin Cook's got that gear where he can hit it from 80. He's still got it. You know who reminds me a lot of Dalvin Cook? Tank Bigsby and myself. But speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and head over, Blaine, to the board of Extreme Truth, Low-Key Justice, Defend the City, Don't Be Scared of It. It's the board. All right, let's take one from the Booster Club, Blaine, while I'm up here. I'm feeling
Ooh, okay, I just found one.
Ooh.
Troy Jenkins, what's your guys' top 5 fantasy defenses?
Ooh, top 5 fantasy
Chargers?
defenses.
I'm going to go
Chargers,
Ravens.
1. Chargers, Ravens.
A healthy Ravens.
Titans, 3 for me, because I just love Mike Vrabel.
I like the Titans.
He's such a good defensive coach.
I like that.
Somebody.
Bills?
No.
Even with Vaughn?
No.
No? Not even close?
Go Eagles.
Yeah. Dude, I'm going to tell you,
With the
Nakobe
add-ons.
and Jordan up the middle, too. I
With
know.
the add-ons they have.
I do like what they got in the back end, too.
Man, it's just always tough for me not to put the Patriots up there. Just
I was going to
because
ask,
of Bill
what do you
Belichick
expect?
coach
I mean,
Well, the secondary's got to get better.
yeah.
Like, and it's so weird to say that. It's like saying Florida in college football has a bad roster. It's just weird to say. But, all right, here's what we got. Look, 20-16 overall, went 2-0 on Saturday. Nobody cares, right? Nobody's 0-0 mentality, as Sensei Cone would say. I'm just over here making picks, believing in myself, drank some coffee this morning, stared at myself in the mirror, and came up with these two options. I'm going Twins -1.5. Okay, Cole Reagan's on the mound for the Rangers. 0-2 on the year, not really proven, has struggled. I'm like 6-0 when I pick the Twins in anything, so
Really?
I'd probably be stupid not to do it at this point. Shout out Cody Nason for the analytics. Then, Subway Series, I know Cat Eye Scherzer is on the mound. You're at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees are a dog at +140? Look, I know Domingo Germain's not making the Hall of Fame.
German?
But yeah, Germain can get up there and give you, 5, 6 good innings.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's an onslaught of runs tonight for the Yankees. I feel like Judge hits a dinger. Surprise, surprise. I think LeMahieu may
love
go
what you're
off a
saying
little
right
bit.
now. I'm
I know,
loving
and look,
this.
I'm not a Yankees guy. Is Aaron Boone my favorite manager in Major
he's
League
a Yankees
Baseball?
guy, dude.
Yes. I know. You watch your
Sounds
mouth.
like
He's
you're
a Yankees
no,
guy.
no, that's them fighting words there.
Deep down, they got them pinstripes.
No, them fighting words there. So give me Twins -1.5, Yankees money line. Both dog bets at 20-16. Like we talked about in our Sports Betting 101. Just because you see the plus, you don't run away from it.
David?
I love that. All right, I'm going to go Rays first 5 -0.5.
You
I hit
love
on this
picking the
on
Rays.
Saturday, so I'm going to go again. -0.5 run at -130, and then Dodgers, Brewers, Nerfy -135. Let's hit. Let's stay hot.
All right, guys, what am I taking? That's a good +140. Okay, is that White Sox? Oh, yeah. Okay, so we got White Sox,
You didn't know
Royals.
your bets.
White Sox, well, why can't, I think I know I'm getting older and close to my birthday because I'm starting to be able to see less.
I'm getting older and close to my birthday.
What
I'm
is
20.
it?
Starting to
I'm
see
28, guys. I'm going to be 28.
I'm getting older and
That's-
close
you know
to
how
my
old that
birthday
is?
because I'm starting to see less.
You know how old that
There's
is?
55-year-olds that are rolling their eyes right now. So
Well,
go ahead.
well.
All right.
All right, Royals, White Sox, first pitch, ball. Been working.
Has been working.
It's been. I think I'm 3-0 on these bets. No, I think I'm 3-1. Thor ruined it. He threw a curveball for a strike first pitch.
I don't know
He does
what's
that.
worse, Thor's record right now or the new movie that came
Yeah, then I'm going. Surprise, surprise. Braves, Pirates, first pitch, top of the first. Acuna, please. Just swing, please.
Put it in
Plus
play.
1,500. I just want to hit one of these bets, guys. I want one so bad. I'm like 0-13.
All
I
right.
just want one so bad.
I know. Imagine what he'd be if he hadn't taken that.
Oh, dude. That's why people are like, oh, Blaine, you're tanking. I'm like, no, I'm not.
He would have
you are
still,
taking-
he would have
you've been
still
here
missed
taking.
those, I think.
But, yeah, probably. Baby Cone, he wants the Mets money line at
Ooh.
-175. Look, me and Baby Cone are kind of, look, anybody can still win it. Anybody can still win it. What's today, the 22nd? Something like that?
Yeah.
It's the 22nd. We got 9 more days in the month. That's 18 bets, fellas. That's a lot. I'm 20-16. Blaine's 16. Blaine and Cone are 16-20. Baby Cone is 18-18. He's taking the Mets money line -175 and the Cards money line -175. So look, it's coming down. It's getting awfully physical. I think everybody's excited about it. Going to be college football's coming.
That's
All right,
what
and we are going to release our format of how we're going to do bets for the Booster Club. And we're also going to be reading out the leaderboard in the mornings for the Booster Club starting tomorrow as well. So excited about that. But, Blaine, speaking of the Booster Club, let's get a couple more and let's bounce.
Cody Nason 95 says Blaine still absolutely has a path to victory if he can find a way to hit one of these first pitch bets. Thank you, Cody.
What are y'all dating? Like every time Cody,
that. How dare you?
every
sir?
time Cody's in there, it's all
How
Blaine,
dare
man,
you.
explain that. But he makes the best graphics and does an unbelievable job. So Cody, kudos to you.
All right, Craig Kelly says Swift could be a sneaky pick with the Lions. That O-line is good and could open things up. I mean, you add J-Mo, right? Well, which take the top off, so defense going to have to respect that. And I don't think you can go wrong with DeAndre Swift, especially in a PPR league.
Yeah. I mean, guy's good out of the backfield too, catching the ball. Because I mean, that's what you got to look at. We talked about Najee Harris earlier. You want a versatile back. You don't want a guy that's just a one-trick pony. Could you say Derrick Henry's a little bit of a one-trick pony?
Yeah, but it's a
Pretty
heck of a
good trick.
trick.
It's a hell of a trick. Yeah,
He's
that's
on a
just-
good team.
Yeah, he's also an alien.
I don't know if he's tricking anybody.
Yeah, he's also an alien. So like that kind of that's the anomaly. It's the exception to the rule.
All right, let's go ahead and do this. I don't know where'd my poll go? My poll just disappeared, but I remember it in my mind. My brain is huge. I have the mind of an elephant.
Well, how are you going to see what
I can remember it in my mind, David. Was it too early to shave my mustache?
I know you're going to manipulate this.
I don't.
Somehow.
I'm not.
Yes, I'm going to say yes. 63%.
Yes, 64.
Guys, you can't just be on my side on that one.
No.
It was yes, 70%.
70%. I knew I undersold it.
Who's the 30% in there?
I don't know,
I
but
know
I
I
appreciate
undersold
you.
it. Yeah, I know I
appreciate
undersold
you.
it.
You know, I really got less crap than I thought I would.
Really?
I haven't looked at Twitter yet, so we'll see.
Oh,
But-
I can feel it.
But it's probably not going to be the best. We'll see. Midnight Crane in Georgia says you're not old until you have kids.
That's
I don't know,
true.
man. I don't know if that's a real thing.
True.
I think it is a
I don't
real
know.
thing.
All right, Michael Fleming wants to know, what are some of y'all's pet peeves for fantasy football? And someone else asked a question earlier, what would we prefer, a snake draft or an auction draft?
I like Snake.
I like Snake.
I like Snake.
Snake
you know,
draft.
you kind of know what's going down. I like Snake better. What was the question?
Pet peeves.
Pet peeves
Michael
about fantasy
Fleming.
football?
What are some pet peeves of fantasy football?
When people don't have something for the loser. You have something for the winner, but you don't have something for the person that
more important.
finishes last. Those are the ones I've been in a couple leagues where everybody, nothing for the loser. That should be the worst. I'm not talking about relegation. Don't kick them out of the league. Just that there needs to be something. And we may have something too. Announcers.
We'll be releasing
What
that
about
soon.
you, Cone? What's a pet
When
peeve?
people start reaching, they just start reaching way too early, especially quarterbacks. See,
Oh, it's
they
like
panic.
panic.
Someone's going to be grabbing Pat Mahomes or something in
worst.
first, top of the second round,
They
something
panic.
like that. Stop it. Stop it. Let's get our lineup set. You know,
Yeah.
let's get some foundation.
That-
Build up some running back depth.
You know,
what I
I
mean?
feel like fantasy drafting is kind of like dating. Like the person who care less wins. Like if you don't get too worried and panic, like
My pet peeve would be quit sending these stupid trades. I'm not going to accept it. You know I'm not going to.
I don't mind that. No
So
shame in
why send it
asking.
to me?
No shame in
Well,
asking.
it's only if I get. I don't need 6 different trades in a day. Quit trying to sell me 2 backup tight ends for a number 2 receiver. It's not going to happen. You know it's not going to happen. You're wasting my time. You're wasting your own time. So just stop. Grow up, Peter Pan, Count Chocula. Obviously, I'm not going to say yes. You know I'm not going to say yes. So why are we even doing this?
Now you know
Speaking
what
of
I'm saying.
trades, so I got sent. I had a buddy who asked me, should he accept this trade? All right. So he's on the side that would be receiving McCaffrey. So he got asked to trade Jahan Dotson and 2 2023, obviously Dynasty League, 2 2023 first-round picks for Christian McCaffrey.
No.
And he
No.
did it.
No.
I said, no,
No, you didn't. All right,
Peasy,
man.
don't. And he did.
I can't wait for him to sprain his ankle week 3 and miss 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Super excited to be going in the morning. Thought it went well, guys. Thought you did good.
Yeah, I like this.
Oh, good.
I
did
like
too.
this.
I do
I mean,
too.
it's 7:57 here, and we already got this knocked out.
Yeah, so we're going to just start planning for tomorrow. We are going to be releasing content also all throughout the day, so make sure you check the YouTube page for that. Follow us on all social media. We appreciate you guys. Shout out to the Booster Club, and keep throwing those booster bets underneath. They're all going to count. It cuts off at 2, but does it really? So we appreciate you guys as usual. Make sure you check us out tomorrow morning, same time, and like the chances of there being a better morning sports show, we're gone.